So to get started making the bread, we're going to mix all of our wet ingredients. So I have 3 eggs that I've placed in this bowl. And we're going to make sure that those are well beaten. And I went ahead and cut up a cantaloupe. It's about a half of a cantaloupe, and I've pureed that in a blender. So as you can see here, we have about 2 cups of cantaloupe puree. You'll get this slight hint of cantaloupe when you're eating it. It's just lovely. So we have our eggs beaten, and so to that we want to go ahead and add our 2 cups of pureed cantaloupe. And as you can kind of see, it's a little foamy, it's a little thick, has a little bit of pulp in it, but it's going to add a very nice flavor to our bread. So I want to make sure to get all of that cantaloupe goodness out. And then we're going to add some sugar. It's about 1 cup of sugar to this, and this is just white sugar. We're going to add that. And then we're also going to add 1 cup of unsweetened applesauce. So this is going to add some more fruit, save a few calories in this bread, but it's still going to make it nice, moist, and delicious. So we're just going to dump that in here. And then for a little extra punch of flavor, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And that's going to bring out all the good flavors in this bread. Now I'm going to eyeball that, 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And then you want to make sure you get all this well mixed and blended together with your whisk. That looks good, and so we're going to get our dry ingredients and add them. We have 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour that we're just going to add. And we also have 1.5 cup of whole wheat flour. And so this is going to help us get some of that whole wheat in this bread. It's going to give it a nice texture. And so we're going to put that in there, but the white flour will also give it a good balance to help balance it out. And so we're just going to mix that together, but before we get it nice and combined, we have 1 teaspoon of salt that we're going to add, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is going to be real helpful in our bread, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, and then for the spices, the flavor, we have 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and then we have a 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger, and those are going to bring those flavors out. It's going to make that cantaloupe really stand out in this bread. And then we're just going to mix this until well combined. And what this will make, it'll make 2 9-by-5-inch loaves, or you can put it in a bundt pan, whichever one you prefer. But today we're going to put it in a loaf pan, and you're going to preheat your oven to 325 degrees. And this will need to cook for about 50 to 60 minutes in your oven. But you want to pour in about half your mixture, and this bread will rise nicely, and then we're going to fix this nice glaze. And what we want to do is we want to give it a few taps to make sure to get all the air bubbles out before we put it into the oven. All right, we're going to pop it in the oven, 325 degrees to 50 to 60 minutes. So our bread has about 15 more minutes to bake, and while it's baking, we want to go ahead and make our glaze. So in my pan, I have a 1/2 cup of butter, or 1 stick, and 2/3 a cup of packed brown sugar. Now that's going to melt together nicely, and it's going to make a great glaze. So we can turn the heat on, do this on stovetop, or you can microwave it for about 3 minutes until it gets nice and melty and a good consistency. All right, our butter and brown sugar is all melted together, and it's making a thicker consistency. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add a 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. And the pecans are going to add a nice crunch, some great flavor on top of this bread. And so we want to mix it all together well and let it cool just a little bit. But when that bread comes out of the oven, we want to pour this glaze on it while it's still hot. So it really gets to incorporate into the bread, and then we want to let it cool for about an hour before we cut into it. And I know that might be difficult, but something that we just have to do to make sure that the glaze sets up really nice on this bread. Well, I hope you take this summer to enjoy all the melons at the farmers market. Now, if you want more information about what growers in your area produce melons, you can contact your local extension office. Or for other great recipe ideas, make sure to give us a call. And make sure to go and get some melons while they're in season. It's a short season, but you can be sure to enjoy this nice healthy snack with your family. Look at that brown sugar butter goodness.